I will say too, I mean, you mentioned obviously like playing sports growing up, and I think that's something you find throughout, whether it's male or female, throughout a lot of sports front offices is you have that sports background. Like Shannon, you swam, you were on dance. Beth, I'm sorry, I don't know, but like I feel like you've grown up all around sports. And,
I was a cheerleader.
There we go.
But it's always been that. Just maybe. Hi guys, I'm Kristin Call, General Manager of the Myrtle Beach Pelicans, and it is Women's History Month, so we're sitting here today with all of the women in our office. So we're going to go around this table. I'm going to let everybody introduce themselves, and then we're going to get this rolling. We're going to have kind of an impromptu conversation, and so let's go to the left. Beth Freitas.
Hey, I am Beth Freitas, and I am the office manager and administrative assistant here at the Pelicans.
Hi, I'm Sammy Parnell. I'm the sales execution coordinator for the Myrtle Beach Pelicans.
I'm Shannon Barbee. I am the box office manager for the Myrtle Beach Pelicans, and this will be my 14th season.
And I am Ann Frost, the Director of Finance, and I have been here since the ballpark was built back in 1999. So I'm going on, 24? 23 years?
24.
24. There we go.
Yep. So were you actually here when the shovel went in the ground?
I was actually working at the credit union down the street. So my job was down there, but I remember seeing it in the paper and in the news, and that was my first inkling that, you know what, I might want to get out of working in banking and see what's going on over there.
So what was the hiring process like? So from the time you saw that in the paper, like what's that timeline look like from I'm going to leave banking and go work in baseball?
Yeah, oh God, this is a story because I remember clearly in summer of 1998, they put on a season ticket sale party at some little festival where you could go down to a booth and sign up to buy season tickets. And I didn't go there, had 2 little boys, didn't make it to that and didn't really know anything about baseball. But there was another festival where we were walking around and I was pushing my son in the stroller and there was a Pelican booth. And there was a girl and a guy at the booth and I went up and I said, "Are you guys looking for any accounting help?" And the girl at the booth literally jumped over the front of it and grabbed me and was like, "Yes, please give me your resume." And the rest is history.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
So
that was the hiring process.
You're hired. Done. You said
No.
accounting? Yes.
But the team was originally owned by Capital Broadcasting, who also owns the Durham Bulls. So I had to go to Raleigh for some interviews up there, and it was a little more of a formal process than it is today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very much laid back. I mean, you can see we're all here in kind of our casual gear, but so Shannon, you mentioned how many years you've been here?
This will be my 13th season, but I've been in baseball for 14 seasons.
So how did you get your start?
I started in Vermont with the Lake Monsters doing an internship to finish my degree. So that's that.
And Sammy, your start with baseball is vastly different than I think most people at this table.
She's a baby.
Yeah, it's actually funny because yesterday Hunter was making some graphics for to put out for us for Women's History or International Women's Day. And he was like, "How many years is this going to be for you in baseball?" And I said, 6. It's going to be 6. And then he was like, "But it's actually been longer than that."
She was born into
longer
it.
than that.
Yeah.
So I was born in Concord, North Carolina, when my dad worked for the Kannapolis Intimidators. So literally,
What was it used to be called?
Piedmont Bow Weevils.
There we go.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
Whenever I was born, but so just grew up around the ballpark and decided that this was the right route for me, and here I am.
Dad's a legend in the business.
So before we get to your start, I want to touch on that too, because you said you grew up running around the ballpark and then knew that this kind of was going to be your path. Like your kids grew up around the ballpark.
They lived here,
but
they didn't go into baseball. One played. Right.
And then you've got Owen, who is 6 now. I was going to say talk about his experience, kind of just growing up here and running around the ballpark.
Yeah, I mean, he's here just about every night, every ballpark night.
They love it. They think they own it.
Mm-hmm.
They think
he
they
walks
own the
around
place.
strutting his stuff like, "This is my place, my house."
I
He
remember
loved being here.
when mine was little, he'd go down into the dugout because he expected he was going to have a ball by the end of the night. Somebody was going to give him a ball.
Yeah.
It's actually funny. My sister and I used to make lists for my dad. Whenever we were younger, we would like walk around the ballpark and make lists of things that we think he could have done better.
Okay.
Or, like, we would
fantastic.
see like a
That's
sign
funny.
somewhere, like with a corner coming down. Like we would write on the
I
list.
critique
love
the whole
that.
thing.
Yeah, we
I
were.
love
I was
it.
probably
Yeah.
like 13 when we started doing that, and we would just go all the way, like all around
That's
both of his
great.
ballpark and
That's
just
great.
basically grill him.
Did you guys start that, or was that something he asked you to do?
Oh no, we just started it.
Do you
It
still do
was-
that to this day?
No, not so much anymore.
I've
Because
taken
like
over that. I do that today.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Every ballpark you go in, you
Yeah.
have to critique.
I do.
he more so like asks us for our opinions now, like especially me that I'm like working in a different organization. He kind of like asks like what we're doing differently in certain situations, but I don't really make him a list anymore because whenever I go up there, I'm like I'm away from baseball for a second, so I'm not gonna,
It's like I
not
don't
gonna
care.
work.
Try to turn the brain off for
Yeah.
just a minute,
Yeah,
even though I don't think that it's entirely possible.
No,
At
it's
least
not.
not for me.
no,
Yeah.
it's not, especially because like I know that he's gonna ask me like, what'd you see, like what kind of changes, whatever. But yeah, we used to make the list.
That's great. I love that.
So, Beth, how did you get your start?
Okay, so I was working for Olston Staffing. I was a branch manager and I did all the hiring, for the Pelicans. So Ann would call and she needed, a receptionist. So I hired a receptionist, here for the Pelicans. And just so happened, the lady that I hired, she had been here for maybe 10 years or so. She was having a baby, so she decided to leave. Well, at that time, Olston Staffing closed. There was not enough business here at the beach, so they closed their office. And Ann knew that because Ann was my neighbor.
Mm-hmm.
And so Ann called me and she was like, we have an opening at the Pelicans. Do you want to come work for us? And I'm like, yes, I do want to come work for the Pelicans. So actually, that's how it happened. She was my neighbor and she knew I didn't have a job. So I came to work here and I've been here for 15 years.
Yep.
And I mean, when I first started, it was just a receptionist and Ann were the only females here in the office. And so over the 15 years, it has grown to, to all of us. And so
we get female interns, but there weren't,
Right,
and maybe a salesperson here and there.
Mhm.
And I think when Shannon started as an intern in the box office, that was what 13 years ago.
Yeah.
And it
just we started hiring more females and like half the staff now is females. So.
Which is awesome. Like there was a point, and I can't remember. I mean, if I really sat down and thought about it, I could probably come up with a number. But there was at least probably 1 to 3 years that I was the only female on staff
in your office in West Virginia.
in the prior team. Yeah, which was crazy. And then I came here, and there was 4 or 5. I think at the time, 5 at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Which was awesome. And I'm sorry to say, I don't think I actually knew that's how you
Got in
join.
here.
They join the
Yeah.
Pelicans.
Yeah.
I mean, all these years later, I just know that like the first thing, and my first day on the job was so weird here.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't actually at the stadium; it was our retreat.
retreat.
So we had
Mhm.
hosted a house or rented a house, and I was actually
Right.
staying at the house. The
Right.
staff was coming and going. So I'm trying to learn everybody's name, but also like just learn what the team's been doing. But I walked in there like, so this is Beth. Just whatever she says goes. Like she runs the shit. She keeps it together, and like you just don't question that when that's the first thing that you're told when you come in. But yeah, I did not know that was your backstory.
Yeah, Beth and I had a neighborhood Halloween party. I remember that year,
That's
and that's
right.
how I got to know Beth
Yeah.
and her husband Eric.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
No, just the whole industry is changing. I mean, now we have female, umpires coming in.
Yeah.
And nutritionists.
We used to
and
have
coaches
here a
and-
female operations, the facility operations
Yeah.
manager used to be a female here.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to think if we've had any other roles that have been females. A lot of sales positions have been females in the past.
Yeah.
I know I get a lot of questions more from guys than women wanting to get into the finance accounting side of baseball.
Because it's so vastly different than banking.
Well, I will say that, I was never really cut out to be the hardcore CPA accountant type. I mean, I love sports. I grew up running track and playing soccer and sports. Didn't know much about baseball, but, I feel like God put me here in the right place at the right time for a reason. My boys, I mean, it was a wonderful growing up for them. I couldn't have asked for anything better, and I love it. Like, I like working with numbers, but I don't want to just sit at a desk and work with numbers. That's all I see all day. I like the interaction and the activity and the energy that comes in working in sports. So it's been a perfect fit for me. I'm very blessed. But it is hard to tell people how to get into it from this side, because usually, at least in the minors, it's a one-person job. You don't have enough of a budget for assistants, and a lot of times you don't need one. So my recommendation would just be, get accounting experience somewhere else, and then just keep your eyes open for that opening when it comes up, because you need to have some experience to jump into it, because there's nobody here that does what you do, and you're kind of on your own.
That's right.
I will say too, I mean, you mentioned obviously like playing sports growing up, and I think that's something you find throughout, whether it's male or female, throughout a lot of sports front offices, is you have that sports background. Like Shannon, you swam, you were on dance. Beth, I'm sorry, I don't know, but like I feel like you've grown up all around sports. And,
I was a cheerleader.
There we go.
But it's always been that, like, we've all come up with like that team atmosphere, right?
Yeah.
Like that working together, and we joked I joked when I walked in that like knowing that I was gonna have to moderate a conversation would have been a nice heads up. But like figuring things out and being flexible is actually one of the more important things I think that you have to learn, and the sooner that you can learn that, the better. But that's stuff that you learn as an athlete, right? Like you have a game plan and things don't go your way, you have to pivot, you have to react and do it quickly, but you also have to be able to communicate and work with those teammates around you. And that's the one thing that I enjoy most about working in sports is that continued kind of camaraderie and team experience.
That's right.
I
don't think anybody who works in sports is the type of person that says, well, that's not my job. I mean, everybody's like, okay, I'm going to pitch in, I'm going to do this. It might not be what I, thought I was going to be doing, but there's always something different that comes up when you're here. So
Always a team.
Yep.
That's what I was thinking too about like work ethic. Like whenever you care about something, like we all did with sports and stuff, like you have to put in the effort in order to make a good product on the field. So this is kind of translating into the same thing. We have to, we care about this organization, we care about our jobs, we want to make sure that the fans are having a good time. So the work ethic that we learned from playing sports as kids is kind of translated into our jobs now, so that we can create the best atmosphere for people.
Yeah, and when you have that competitive spirit behind you that you've grown up with, you want to hold everybody else to that too. So it's an environment that if someone's slacking, they're going to be told they're slacking. So
That's right.
yeah, it is. It's fun to come to work and still feel like you're playing a game in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're pretty laid back in Myrtle Beach. Shocker, right? Like we live at the beach, but I don't know, like we take things very seriously, but we like to have fun while we're doing it. So, I mean, we hold ourselves and everybody on the
Well, you got a table full of a little bit of perfectionists here.
That's
All
right.
of us,
That's
we
right.
say
That's
we're a
true.
little
Very
bit,
true.
anal about
Right.
what we expect out of our work. So we beat heads when we need to
That's right.
live up to our
That's right.
standards.
But also, I would say that I think everybody here really owns your department or your lane, right? Like, I mean, we talk about in the ticketing world, like, if you need to know anything to do with our ticketing system, other teams are calling Shannon because she knows it, like she inside and out. And if she's not, she's like, well, I don't know, but I think give me a day, and then all of a sudden it's done.
Yeah, you got
Figures it out.
And Sammy, you're you just said 6 years full time now. It's 3,
Almost one.
almost 1 full time.
Well, I mean, okay,
not.
intern wise, yes.
Yeah.
It seems like so much
Technically,
longer.
Yeah.
Because you've been here forever.
Yeah, because I was on
Yeah.
promo. I was promo intern for 17 and 18, and
During
then
college.
and then I was in Alabama in 19,
Okay.
and then 2020 was when I started my internship.
And 2020 lasted for 10 years.
Correct.
So,
Yeah, it did.
So, yeah.
But we were even talking the other day that like you feel like you've come
Yeah.
so much farther in just a year.
Mhm.
I mean, you're leading our weekly sponsorship meetings. You've got probably close to 100 accounts that you're juggling and managing on all of that, and just the communication to like, and you keep everybody on point. Like we're not
Have to.
wasting time in these meetings. Like she
Right.
walks in and here's the list, and you got this. I need this from you, and like it literally
can
is
say
maybe
in
one of the most
20
effective
In
meetings we
23
have.
years, we have never had this position. we've tried. We've hired an intern here. We've hired a person there. Kind of did it halfway.
Yeah.
Nobody's done it the right way until you have taken it over.
Thanks. I mean, I think it has to do a lot with just the whole staff collectively. Like, whenever I have questions, I have to, like, last year I kind of was just trying to figure it out. And
Yeah.
so, like,
Yeah.
But you
all
come up
of
with
you
your
have
own
helped me.
process too. That
Yeah.
you know how it's going to make it better and more
Yeah.
efficient. And then you just, everybody's got to kind of follow it the right way.
Yeah.
So that
Yeah.
we're all not, stepping over each other and
Yeah.
doubling back on the same thing over and over again. So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
great. It's great.
But
having
you're
that
also
position.
speaking up and like holding people to like, no, this is how we do it now.
Yeah.
Do it this way.
That's
Yeah, I
right.
Give
found
me
my
what
voice
they-
over the past year.
That's right. You find your
I
voice.
used to be a little too shy, but now, not that I'm like mean at all, but I just know that like we need to, we gotta stay on track.
Right.
We gotta get things
I
done.
think that's exactly a trait that I think women in general, have to learn to be able to find their voice,
Right.
not be overly aggressive with it, but assertive enough and fair enough that people are respectful. And I think that this organization in particular, the men that are at the positions that are at the top and that we've worked with for years, they're all great with that.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yes.
everybody's got mutual respect for
Right.
everybody's
Yes.
positions.
Agreed.
Yeah.
So that's our take. That's the insight into what we've got going on here. But seriously, if you're interested in working in sports, find somebody in your community, reach out, talk to them, whether it's on social, make a phone call, send an email. We want more women in sports in general. And I think folks, women in particular, are usually pretty good about, if somebody reaches out to us, we're going to kind of share what knowledge we have and do what we can to get you hooked in. So certainly work in sports and come to a Pelicans game.
Go Pelicans.
Yeah.
It's